All right, all right. It is that time. You heard the horns. You heard the horns. It is that time. Not only tonight, but inside you as well. We're gonna have a great show tonight. I'm actually concluding my fast, y'all. So I just did a liquid fast, and it was pretty dope. But I got a guest for you tonight. That is the perfect guest to bring in the new year. I just had brother Yosef on. He took the whole year off from the show. I haven't had Ron in a while, so this is going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Anytime this brother gives a breakdown of what's going on cosmically. Without further ado, want to welcome back to the platform, Ra Akhu. Welcome back, Ra.
Peace, yo.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Hey, it's so far. Oh, well, let me say this because I'm gonna make this announcement later when there's more people in the chat. But might as well say it now. We got another addition to the lineup. February 8th at the Godfest. Guess who's gonna be at the Godfest, y'all? Guess who's gonna be there doing readings, y'all? Face to face doing readings with the family, y'all. Guess who's gonna be there?
In person.
In person. That's not. This is.
Get your in person.
I was just talking to Rod. Rod don't come out like that, y'all. He does not come outside like that. If he comes outside, it's important. Family, yo, let me tell you this real quick, Rob, before we get started. I did an event in when was this? I think this is right when my son was born. 2018. We in Brooklyn, St. Francis College. I got Rod there doing readings. I got the speakers inside. All of a sudden, I see this long ass line outside. I said, well, what the hell is this line for? They said no, they line up to see Rod Akhu. I said, that's the nigga line? They said, yeah. I said, oh shit. This dude, yo, people line up to see him. So family, when you come there, there's gonna be a line to see my brother Rod Akhu. Make sure you get there early to get your personal reading with him. And like I said, there's nothing like face-to-face interaction. So he will be there. I'm gonna share the link again in the chat. There's also pinned. Oh, somebody said I was there and couldn't get in. Yeah, see, facts. They're not. It was jam-packed in there. We was like sardines at St. Francis College because that only holds 600-700 people. We was like this in there, y'all. So they not lying. Some people got turned away. It was super crowded in there.
Packed.
Super packed. Oh man, Rod, they gonna have a good time. Somebody said, Rod, somebody said, all right, I'm getting my ticket now.
I'm gonna be there.
Somebody said, all right, fuck that. I gotta see Rod Akhu. Somebody said I gotta be there. Yeah, Rod, he gonna be there. He just told y'all there. But like I said, just
doing live readings. And if you can't get to me for the live reading, I'll be booking right there.
Indeed.
But this is your opportunity to see me in person because I don't, like he said, I don't come out much. I come out when there's an event. Yeah. I don't hang out in the street no more. Y'all don't get it yet. You see all this white hair? Okay. Yeah. You dig? The older I get, the more comfortable this chair becomes.
Oh man. Hey, all right, let's get this. Yo, David, you coming to the event? David, Heck, you coming to the event, my brother? Let me know in the chat. But with that being said, Rod, man, 2025 started out. A lot of things going on. Fires in one area of the other country. Ice in another area of the country. We got the inauguration happening Monday. A lot of things going on, Rod. I can't wait to hear your breakdown tonight. I'm going to pass the ball to you, my brother. Let us know what is going on. This is the 9 years. It's big talk around this 9 year. Let us know what all the talk is about, my brother. Can't wait to hear this breakdown.
That's funny that this is a 9 year. Okay. Because, I listen to numerology often, and I'm not a practitioner, but I delved in it. I dabbled in it briefly, right, to understand what it was about and how it's used and stuff like that. 9 is a Mars year. And this year definitely started off with with Mars indications, man. The first week of January is like one of the most violent weeks in the media that the U.S. has seen in its entire history. Well, I would like to say in its entire modern history. Okay. because there's facts about the United States that they don't release and they don't teach in schools, like how they had concentration camps here after the Civil War. The Devil's Punch Bowl is just one example of probably thousands. All right. But anyway, what I came here to talk about was this year, not the Devil's Punch Bowl, right? So if we look at a chart for 12 o'clock midnight on January 1st and located in Washington, D.C., and the reason why I located in Washington, D.C. is because that's the nation's capital. So anything impacting the country is going to have its impact and is going to be dealt with and talked about in the capital. So we use the capital for the whole country, right? I was telling a brother that there are two different methods of prediction that I use during a reading. Though I know of several different methods, I only use two of them in the reading. And one of them is the day per year method, all right? And the other one is much more broad. It's 1 degree equals 1 year. So I made a prediction based on that 1 degree per year thing, because this here works a lot. It works very well. It's one of the simplest tools for prediction in astrology. So when we look at the chart for the year, we can't apply that 1 degree equals 1 year because we're talking about 1 year here. So then we break it down to 1 degree equals 1 month, or 1 degree equals 12 days. All right. And I'm going to use the 1 degree equals 12 day thing here. But first, I want to get into how the chart for January 1st at 12 midnight, 2025 in Washington, D.C. gave us a summary of what this violent week was going to be. All right. And I use, for those people out there who are astute enough to hear this, signs, and I use the planets in the order of their degrees in a 30-degree stack. And the first degree holds the planets Pluto and Aquarius and Mars and Leo. And I've been looking at this opposition for the last couple of weeks because it was before New Year's Day that the violence started. The Russians sent a missile strike, a very crucial missile strike in Kiev. Okay. And the Los Angeles fires are being given being given indication by this opposition between Pluto and Mars in the sky. You know, and don't get me wrong here, the planets don't cause the ruckus. They just give an indication to it. All right. The same energy moving them through our solar system is the same energy that allows you to move your arm. You understand? So it has its universal effects and its personal effects. For the Aquarius people and the Leo people, okay? And I don't mean people just born during the month of Aquarius, January and February, and people born in July and August. I'm not just referencing those Leos and Aquariuses. We have a different type of identifier too, all right? Your ascending sign. In other words, what sign was rising in the east when you were born? Regardless of what your sun sign is, what you think you are, okay? I'm talking to the Aquarius risings and the Leo risings too, okay? And these two types of Leos and Aquariuses happen every day, all right? They're born every day. All right. So if you know your rising sign, then you know I'll be addressing you. To break it down further, people who have had problems with their feet since childhood, broke your foot, injured your foot, can't get rid of foot fungus type of injury, all right, type of a recovery process. And Aquarius has cancer, Virgo in the egg. So people who have a problem with their lower digestive tract, all right? It'd be a great number of these people. This is who I'm talking to, All right. This Mars and Pluto alignment gives us indications that personally y'all will be working on your temperament and your desire nature. That's to put it generally. To put it at a higher place, you're working on your motivations, all right? And you're working on the morality or the worthiness of these motivations and enthusiasms, okay? This fight with the desires for Aquarius and Leo, this personal struggle with your own natures, higher and lower natures, is going to be focused on and in effect, in power, in force for the next 20 years or so. Because Pluto is going to be in there trying your temperaments, particularly those people who have these two signs in their ascendant, okay? And I just explained to you what the ascendant was. To learn what the ascendant is, go to astro.com, put in your birth information, pull up the chart, make sure you have the correct time of birth, all right? Time of birth is an issue here. This is what determines what your day sign is. And your day sign is pretty much what we read to derive all your benefits and your challenges, okay? So understand that. I want to convey that. You know, I can't convey it enough. But this Mars-Pluto opposition also gives indication to people who are being injured and or die, Pluto, by fire, Mars, okay? And we're going to see high tension with the police interaction with the public throughout the course of the year because of this. This chart marks the entire year, like your birth chart marks your entire life. However, it is not enough to just read this chart on its face. You have to apply its motion to see how it's going to manifest over the years that come. Okay. On January 16th, a man killed himself. You know, Pluto means to take life, to move life from one place to another. This is why Pluto isn't just death. It's gestation. It's the embryonic process. It is fertilization, coitus. It is the orgasm that comes from it. It describes that life surge, okay? It describes the impregnation of the ovary. It describes the process of cell division and the formation of a body, the delivery of that baby, the cutting of the cord. This Pluto Mars talks about life and death and its evolutionary path, its growth and development, and in turn is death and decay. That entire process. All right. Now, when we throw Mars into the equation, it begins to activate things. And on the lowest level, Mars is anger. Okay. It's the same drive and energy that you put into your anger. You also put into moving an object that requires strength. Okay. You put that same energy into your basketball game, into your defense or your offense, into your combat if you're fighting verbally or physically, okay? This is the energy we're talking about with Mars. And it burns things up, all right? So Mars and Pluto, Mars being peril or dangerous, and Pluto talking about life, threats to life were made worldwide with this alignment, in accord with this alignment. When I heard on the news, because I was listening to the news, that a Tesla car was blown up in front of Trump Towers, I was like, wow, that sent a very clear message. Because Trump, in winning the election, hired Elon immediately, brought Elon into his cabinet immediately. So that blowing up of that car is a definite statement speaking to that alliance between the president of this here United States and his number one social site owner. Okay, well, really Mark Zuckerberg, number one, and he on board too. Okay, You see how as soon as Trump was confident he was going to win the election, because I believe he said this before the election, he was going to speak to all of the social sites and remove the censorship. All right, because he suffered personally from the censorship. Right. This is the Mars. He's pertinent to the Mars motion. This cat has Mars rising. All right, and he has Mars in Leo. So all of these threats on his life and these attempts on Trump's life is giving indication to by this planetary alignment between Mars and Pluto. All right. Mars represents heads and Leo represents administrators. Okay, kings and monarchs and administrators, CEOs and headmen. So Mars would be the attack, would be indication of the attack on the president, Leo. You see? So there are going to be more attacks on his life, and I believe they're going to be using explosives. Now, normally the guys that they've been catching have had guns, firearms, but because they're going to beef up his security so tight, they're not going to be able to get him with your normal means. And there are going to be attempts on his life using explosives. And why do I think that? Because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm 85% convinced. All right? Because the Pluto, in this case, is now in his 7th house, in his house of open enemies. Okay? And Pluto is assassins and special tactics and life-taking individuals, killers, however you put it, accidental or on purpose, right? Well, it's in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of technology, which is the sign of explosions and explosives and things exploding, okay? Explode is the motif word, the root word for Uranus, all right? Lightning and thunder and torrential weather as well. So we see in the astrological canon that Pluto tends to extremes. It intensifies things. It acts like a gigantic magnifying glass. So whatever planet it pairs itself up with, we can really look at the activating planet and use Pluto to say intensely. All right, it's an adjective here in this perspective that I'm conveying to you. Okay, so because Pluto is in Aquarius and Leo, when figuratively speaking, Leo is a sunny day. Okay, and Aquarius is storm-filled, lightning and thunder and lightning and dark cloud, or a hurricane or a tornado or any type of extremely torrential weather, in contrast to the sunny day. All right. And emotionally speaking, see, don't take this as I am speaking to individuals here, because I'm talking about the sign symbolism of Leo, regardless of the human behavioralism. Okay. Leo points to a lot of things. Gold. It points to the sun. It points to sunshine. It points to light, period, illumination, to anything that is bright, talented. When it comes to people, it's talent. Okay, that slipped out, right? But when it comes to the structure of society, it talks about the chief administrators. Okay, the kings and queens and the presidents and the prime ministers and the presidents of companies and CEOs and floor managers on the lowest level. All right. So when we see Mars and Leo here, this is like conflict amongst those in high places, conflict with the higher ups, with the administrators, and assertions because of because of Mars's place in there. Something is being asserted. A person's authority is being asserted in opposition to Pluto in Aquarius. Now, let me tell you something. Let me hip y'all to something, okay? I don't know how long we got tonight, so I'm gonna try to be brief on everything, right? And let me tell you, you can come to my Instagram and get in my lectures. I just opened up a Patreon that's going to be popping soon too. So where I'm not able to give you entire clarity in these appearances, then you can come to my lectures and get it all explained and interact with me on a level that is much more personal, okay? And it'll be longer, but I'm going to try to keep this brief. The opposition between Pluto and Mars in Aquarius and Aries puts people globally at odds with those in charge. So even though you don't have a lot of that going on in this country, we're going to see more demonstrations like we did the first time Trump won, as opposed to what we saw during the Biden administration. Okay, it seems like when you get outspoken figurehead in position, the people in the population become more outspoken as well, right? And let's talk about this cat running through Bourbon Street in New Orleans. You know, peculiarly enough, New Orleans is, astrologically speaking, a Pluto city. All right? It's a Scorpio city. It's the most famous tradition of New Orleans is Mardi Gras. And Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, was set up so that people could settle their vendettas, which is a Scorpio act. Okay? And though they celebrate Mardi Gras all over the area in Louisiana, you know, the Bourbon Street has become known, popular to the people. And I believe that was orchestrated along with the bomb, just like it said in the news, okay? Because these things happen on the same day. This guy goes running through downtown on some, and he had explosives in the car, y'all. Luckily, having to mow down, I know this sounds crazy, right? And I don't mean it like it sounds, but having to mow down all those people, he was not able to get to his destination. So luckily for those people that he was holding those explosives for, luckily for them, he got occupied with the police. Pow, pow, pow. The straight back and forth with the police. Now, let me tell you, this is Pluto in Aquarius in opposition to Mars in Leo, okay? And Mars is the police. And killers are Pluto. And Pluto is at 1 degree in Aquarius, indicating a killer of a group. He killed a group of people. He killed a mass of people. That's what Pluto in Aquarius says. And the tension aspect to drive that to be perilous was the geometric opposition, 180-degree sites on Mars. Okay? This opposition geometrically in astrology is a red flag. It's an attention getter, and it usually doesn't play out well. You have to exert some intent, some consciousness, and some intent into the execution of your response to this energy, because it often ends up in a blunder, especially if a person doesn't see it coming. Okay? We all experience this stuff at the age of 14. We experience it at the age of 28. All right? We experience it again at the age of 42, extremely. You know, these oppositions, you see? So this cat, January 16th, I believe he was an Aquarius rising, okay? Because when you look at Aquarius on the ascendant, it puts Scorpio at the top, and he was definitely at the top of the chart, represents the public, and Scorpio represents death. So he was in the public causing death, okay? So I assign the Aquarius-ness of this aspect to that knucklehead. Plus, he was crashing, impacting people with his motor vehicle, with a machine, mowing crowds of people over in a crowd of people doing this. That is all these keywords: crowds, groups, okay, machines, smashing. All of those are Aquarius words, perfectly Aquarius words, okay? And it has nothing to do with the people who are Aquarius rising. You know, I believe this cat was an Aquarius in some form or fashion, right? He had the sun in Cancer, so he'd been Aquarius rising on. He had a very bad aspect to his Uranus. You know, I believe that it takes no matter how cold-hearted an individual is, it still requires extreme resolve to ignore the fact that you're doing extreme harm, okay? And I think that this is on my own personal, okay? So you can hold me accountable if you want, right? But this, I'm not speaking for anybody with this, but I believe that that explosion, that guy driving through, killing people, I believe that is just the beginning of what this year has to tell with regards to attempts on the life of the POTUS. And that's what my interest in this is. I think it is one great experiment, one great astrological experiment, specifically this year, all right? Because of that opposition between Mars and Pluto, I see that this year carrying that energy all the way into next year, all right? Particularly in the spring, hello. So April, March, April, and into May, we're going to see a lot of this mayhem, all right? And because Leo is a summertime sign, and we're talking about 1 degree here, the sun is going to reach the point where Mars was in this chart on August 23rd. No, pardon me, July 23rd. July 22nd or 23rd of this year, 2025. The sun is going to run over that Mars station from the new year, and we're going to see some more stuff from that. And before I move on to another alignment in this chart, I want to talk about how Leo represents children and Aquarius represents the pervs, okay? And Pluto in Aquarius, this happened last year, y'all. Pluto didn't just appear in Aquarius as of this year. Last year, Pluto peeked his head into Aquarius, and then he retrograded back into Capricorn. And because Aquarius represents the unconventional, it also points to the LGBTQ movement. Don't be upset with me, okay? Because they get upset something when you mention them, man. And y'all are newsworthy. And your astrological analysis worthy. All right. I said the first time it happened on one of my lives on Instagram, I said, they're gonna really push back on this movement of acceptance from our homosexual crowd. There's just gonna be pushback. And there was already pushback, but I was like, it's going to really get prominent, and perhaps some lives are going to get lost. So the first time that Pluto went into Aquarius before it backed out and went into Capricorn, we saw Uganda put the death penalty on repetitious homosexual offenses, okay? And we saw some cat in New York shoot his girlfriend when he discovered that his girlfriend had transformed from a man, okay? So and other things that Pluto and in Aquarius represents that are gory as hell, all right? With Mars in opposition. The first time Pluto went into Aquarius, they found a dude chopped up in a freezer that this couple in New York, in one of the boroughs in New York, and they were eating this cat, all right? They were dining on him. He was a source of food, all right? He in freezer bags and everything, right? So this Pluto through Aquarius really starts its constant motion through Aquarius this year, 2025. And we're going to see a lot of pushback on the unorthodox movements, on the liberation movements, because Aquarius also, it doesn't just point to the weird and unusual, the unorthodox and unconventional. It also points to freedom and any freedom movement to any capacity, regardless of the movement, okay? So BLM, LGBTQ, Black Panthers, all of these, Nation of Islam, all of these can be classed under Aquarius, astrologically speaking, okay? Because they are speaking out against what has become or exists as convention, right? Let us reference the square between Jupiter and Saturn, okay? I hope I conveyed to y'all enough that the Aquarius Leo points to the weather, okay? Because we've had intense weather patterns, okay? I don't believe that those fires in California were set by the sun, okay? Somebody's doing that. And the fact that it started, it started coming to our attention on the 7th of January. But that whole process had to have started the week before. All right. We saw it because they're happening everywhere. And if anyone has insurance, then there's big take on their land burning, So, but to go further, when we look at this chart, we find Jupiter at 13 degrees in the sign of Gemini, and we find Saturn at 14 degrees in the sign of Pisces. So this is what we call a closing square, okay? Because Jupiter is the faster planet, and it is the one converging on Saturn. So within 11 days, probably right now already, the conjunction, the perfect square between them has already occurred. And just the fact that it was 1 degree apart is enough, or they're close enough to be kicking off, like you don't need to touch your match to the flame in order for it to get hot enough to combust. You understand that? You could just put the match near the flame and the flame is hot enough. This is how we analogy, this is how I make an analogy for how the planets come together, right? So they're coming into a perfect square, which means they're 90 degrees apart. And in nature, 90 degrees is a support or tension degree, right? You need support for all the tension that exists, is how we can illustrate what a square means. So between Jupiter, which represents expansion and great distances, all right? It represents, in terms of human behavior, Jupiter deals with the happiness factor, laughter, jokes, okay, joy, true joy, all right? And happiness, right? Expansion, abundance, right? You know what you mean when you say, I want love in abundance. You want love in Jupiter, okay? You want it in Jupiter's. Is how I would translate that if we're going to use Jupiter in English for all that it represents. Okay? It represents schooling, traveling, foreigners, foreign cultures. It represents invasions and invaders. Okay? It represents the immigrants here in this country that became an issue during the election, a means of creating a motif around which to rally, and during the election, I'm a social media head, so I'm paying attention to the things that I'm seeing in social media, and I'm tripping really off of how all this shit just concurs with what's going on in the sky. This is what keeps me on my astrology like that, right? But when I'm looking at this report or interview with this CIA agent. Now, I don't know how true this shit is. I don't know how true it is that he's a CIA agent. I don't know how true what he's saying out his mouth. And I don't know how much of it is propaganda and how much of it is true, right? So, but he's talking about how all of these UFO sightings means that the government is getting ready to stage an alien invasion. All right? And that's plausible to me. Like I think what they did with Orson Welles back in the 30s was a government experiment. This is because I do have a conspirator's mentality with a lot of this stuff, right? So I said to my wife, I said, yo, mama, you know, you really think the government is capable of staging alien invasion and convincing everybody with the Project Blue Beam that it's really aliens? I really don't think there's that many stupid people here that would go for that. She said, what alien invasion are you talking about? I said the UFO invasion that may very well be staged. You know, I'm speaking hypothetically. She was like, that shit sounds so ridiculous. They'll never try that shit. She said, they're already pulling it off right now. And I was like, what do you mean? Because, you know, this is how oblivious I am while I'm busy looking right at it, right? She said, man, you see that the Western nations all over this globe right now are being invaded with immigrants. And they're using these immigrants from colored people's countries, okay? So-called colored people's countries, to consolidate their populations, to solidify the unity of the West. All they got to do is just let a bunch of Mexicans run through America, and you got all these Caucasians worried stiff that we've been invaded by a wave of colored people that is a detriment to our way of life. And this is what Trump used to turn the whole country red. And at the same time, the European nations are doing this. Okay? So what this is, in my opinion, okay, but according to my wife, first she's the one that swayed me to this view, right? They're consolidating the West now because they see BRICS. They see Burkina Faso. They see Haiti talking about ousting the French. You see, the ousting them entirely. They see this movement on the earth of colored people. Okay, the Moors of this planet. Okay, however you want to define yourself, the melanated people of this planet are making a move against the oppressive European colonial system. And you know, we look at it in its current form and we say, hey, BRICS, these niggas can't even get along with each other. You know, and over here, China's having these problems, and that's not going anywhere. You can't think like that because we're thinking long range. 100 years from now, BRICS may have gotten to the point where they've mobilized themselves to actually become the threat that they intend to pose on the European colonial powers. You know, this is something that I've been researching. But anyway, this comes to mind with the Jupiter-Saturn square here in this chart because you got Trump coming back into office, which he is going to seek to quell to Jupiter, right, to bring good fortune and benefit from overseas through his actions with China and Russia. And he's more business savvy than political Biden. So he can find ways to use these people to better the economy. And Jupiter talks about abundance and well-being, okay? It talks about smooth, easy living, all right? It talks about big gains with very little effort, all right? That's why Jupiter speaks to lottery wins and it speaks to periods of time that are fruitful for you, all right? And you have a Jupiter every month, okay, which is an opportunity that day, whatever form it takes, it's an opportunity to come up a little bit further than you were, if none at all, okay? I mean, it's not going to be none at all, but you're able to come up under Jupiter's. It's like this, and I mean it's like this. I don't mean it literally, but figuratively, it's like God giving you a helping hand. When you having a Jupiter, if you intend to open a business, you come to me, you ask me, yo, when's the best day to start a business? The best day is on a Jupiter day because Jupiter deals with opening and it deals with extravaganza. It deals with extra, bringing extra, okay? Bringing more. All these words, more, extra, abundant. All of these are Jupiter words. So when you see Jupiter, when you see the all, when you see God's good blessing, when you see your opportunities astrologically being squared by Saturn. Now let's get into what Saturn means. Okay. Saturn is the limiter. He's a constrictor. Okay? And this is what he is most of the time. You know, you get these spiritual heads that understand that if you are cultivating yourself spiritually, Saturn is not going to have such its indications. Those parts of your nature that it gives indication to aren't going to have as much sway on you because you disciplined, you Saturned yourself against those lower Saturn qualities. But most people don't do that. 99% of the people in this culture are not fucking seeking to refine themselves spiritually. Okay? Most of them are concerned with their creature comforts, man. Eating, clothing, and having shelter. Okay? Most people in this culture are only concerned with satisfying those three aspects of living. So I'm not talking to you people who are spiritually developed and the negative indications of Saturn, you done fasted and breathed your way to the top of that. All right? You're still subject to it though. Okay. But the Saturn is limitations, obstacles, timing events. The need to apply discipline is harsh, it's cold, it's unemotional, it's authoritative, it's punishing. Okay? So this is the exact opposite of what Jupiter represents. And here they're at a 90-degree angle one to another in tension. So that gave indication to motor vehicles. And when I say motor vehicle, the first thing that comes to your mind is a motherfucking car. You know, a moped, a motorcycle, a boat, a train, a bus, a plane. These things are motor vehicles too. Okay? So Jupiter squaring Saturn is going to point to the limitations of Saturn, limiting mobility for people, specifically the mutable signs. What are they? Gemini, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Virgo. Okay? These people specifically are going to feel that Jupiter, Saturn indication here because it's in the mutable signs, and specifically here, as opposed to the first time, I'm referencing the sun signs more so than the ascending signs. Okay? So those people who were born with I'm a Gemini, you call yourself a Sag, you say I'm a Pisces, you say I'm a Virgo. These people, okay, is they're gonna see this. For the Geminis and the Sagittarians, the placement of Saturn right now has to do with your homestead and your career, with your lifestyle and your public reputation, and how your interaction with the public is used to maintain the comfort of your lifestyle at home. Okay? So Jupiter for y'all, for Gemini, this is a very good year. Jupiter rolls over your sun. And this only happens once every 12 years. We're not going to see Jupiter and Gemini again for another 12 years. Okay? And it leaves Taurus this year in May, I believe. I wrote it down, but now I forgot where I wrote it at. So, and it's not fresh in my head. But you can easily check it yourself, man. You know, very early this year, just a couple months, Jupiter will be in Cancer. So for the last 8 months or so, Jupiter has been in Pisces, and this is very good for Gemini. However, Saturn is also in Pisces. So just because the sun is shining on this at this end of the house, doesn't mean it isn't dark at this end of the house, you see? And this is how life is. So bear with me here. The fact that Saturn is in Pisces for the Geminis out there, Saturn is in the place of your career, all right? And your lifestyle. So is the job situation, the relationship with authority members or persons of authority, like your landlord or your boss, your manager, they're not as bright as they could be. Okay. And dimmed so by Saturn's passage through your 10th place, telling you that you don't have to give up on your dreams. You have to find a more practical way, a more constructive way, Saturn, of executing your dreams, Pisces. Though a lot of you are going to feel like, oh man, I didn't gave up on that shit because it's no longer practical. You know, you have to look at it like this here. You know, a guy who can rhyme really good. Let's say he's a young man about 18, 19 years old. This nigga can rhyme off the top of his head like Nas. Okay, this is hypothetical, right? And he just got out, you know. So he's trying to get on and he's selling his mixtape out the back of the trunk. See, that we don't do it like that no more. And he's got skills like a motherfucker. But if he's riding around the city selling cassettes out of the back of his trunk, he ain't gonna make an area sale. You see, we don't do it like that anymore. We get online now. We use the internet. We promote on TikTok, on YouTube, and ain't nobody taking you serious if you ain't using the internet to promote your shit. You see? So this is what Saturn and Pisces is like. It comes through and it has you feeling like, damn, man, I've been pursuing this dream for so long. And it just looks like it's never going to happen. So you quit. Don't want to quit. Don't want to back down. Find a better way to execute the materialization and the concretization of your dreams and aspirations. That's what Saturn and Pisces is saying to you. Okay? Saturn is going to move into Aries on May the 24th of this year. Okay? So that great shift is going to relieve whatever tensions you've been dealing with in your career house. But it's also going to move the tension into your social sphere. The tension don't stop. You know, it just stops in this area and begins in this area now. So the Geminis and the Sagittariuses will be reviewing their social circles at this time, and all of their contacts and communications will come into question as to, you know, you're going to still continue to communicate with these people, or is it going to drop off? So pay attention to how that happens, okay? For the Pisces people right now, since March of last year, almost 18 months really, Saturn has been in Pisces, forcing y'all to look at and to reevaluate how you go about seeing yourself in the world, how you identify yourself in the world, you know, your self-image, how you see yourself, okay? This, your ego. Two. So you're going to be pressed to grow up this year another time, because Saturn is maturity. See, it doesn't matter if you're already 60 years old, right? Saturn coming across your sun degree forces you to grow up again, to look at your inner child and reassess things. and well, it gives indication to those life factors that cause us to do that. Let me verbalize it like that. Okay, because I don't want it to be misunderstood. I don't believe the planet Mars causes, or any of these planets cause anything, you know. But in that idea, the creator gets all the blame. He's the cause for every single thing, all right, in my mind. But the planets are indicators, like that signifying monkey in that joke. I forget his name, but he was a black comedian. Blowfly. He had a joke about the signifying monkey. The signifying monkey standing in the top of the palm tree and report everything he see. You know, and this is what the planets are doing. They're in the sky, they're up high, and their motions give indication as to what is going on down here on this plane of event. It is not the cause of it. The monkey is not the reason why the baboon is getting his ass chewed out by a lion right now. Okay? But the monkey is letting everybody in the jungle know. So astrology is just that. These planets are signifying monkeys. They tell you what's going on, but they ain't the cause of what's going on down here. See, this is what gives you the illusion that you can change your reality. You see? The fact that you don't have to approach these energies unconsciously. You can approach them consciously, and we know from physics. See, nobody ever gave me this argument, but I'm going to make it for myself, right? That we can tell from physics that the observation of a thing and that the interaction with a particular energy or force, any one of them, is going to cause that force or energy to behave in another fashion. Case in point, simple as fuck, water will drown you. But if you consciously engage water, pulling yourself through it, then you won't drown. But water definitely drowns, okay? So you have the ability not to change water, not to change the fact that you need water, but how you interact with that water, okay? How you deal with that water and what you use that water for. This is where we have choice. So it is the same with your very own nature. Well, you have to study your very own nature too and see it within yourself and outside of yourself, really. Okay, and I'm pardon me for getting them for diversion. I'm supposed to stay on 1925, right? Pardon me for digressing. Okay.
It's all good, all good.
Yeah, let me just say this. The mutable signs are going to feel this Jupiter, Saturn. Everyone's going to feel it because we all have those signs in our chart. But I'm referencing those people that have the lights, the sun and the moon in these places, because this is the sun and the moon are personal indicators. Okay? The sun talks about everything we love, and the moon talks about everything we attach ourselves to or that we react to psychologically and emotionally. Okay? And so when this square between Jupiter and Saturn, it says hard times. It says hard luck. Okay? So because Jupiter says luck and Saturn says difficult. So I don't want you to think I'm saying tough luck, nigga. You in trouble. No, I'm saying it means tough luck that whatever goods you get, you're going to have to apply yourself to them. And you are very able to acquire that abundance you're looking for. You're very able to make that profit, but it ain't going to come knocking on your door. You're going to have to go to fucking work. You're going to have to create a plan to get that. Because Saturn is in square to it, if you ignore the organizing and the planning and the work that needs to go into the benefits, and the benefits aren't going to be there to be had. Understand it? Okay. For the Sagittarius people, the Jupiter is your ruler. And the fact that it is in Gemini right now is good for relationships and is good for romance and business relationships. It's good for any kind of cooperative endeavor and mutual benefit whatsoever. But understand, it's not going to be there for long. And you've had all last year, most of last year, to benefit from that. But it's not too late to benefit from what it gives indication to. Right? It's very good for partnership. So Sagittarius and Gemini, they meeting each other. They wondering about each other. I'm going to tell you right now, that's a good combination, providing there aren't other tensions in the chart, which there always are, okay? But providing that they aren't maximal, then this is a very good for starting and forming relationships, for having children as well, okay? Now, let me move on to the next aspect that I felt was important, okay? Uranus in Taurus. When I say Uranus, they say Uranus, okay? But I don't like talking about y'all's assholes, right? I like the term Uranus, right? Uranus, the pronunciation, is in Taurus right now. When it first entered Taurus, Bitcoin started making its climb, okay? And the fact that it's in bad aspect to Pluto right now is not a good indication for some of the wealthy, okay? Particularly people messing with electronic economics. I don't mean that that the money itself, the currency is no good. Bitcoin ain't going nowhere. This electronic money ain't going nowhere. Money is going to get more and more and more and more and more and more electronic. Okay, whether you realize it or not. And we get that indication from Uranus and Taurus. Well, the Uranus in Taurus talks about the inflation that we've been experiencing. It talks about prices being unstable. Okay, it says by itself Uranus is unstable, highly unstable, and Taurus represents money. It also represents the food industry, particularly farmers and cattle herders. Okay, because Taurus talks about cows. All right. It also talks about moose, deer, antelope, and anything with a cloven foot that cheweth the cud. All right. Any one of those animals, Taurus points to those. So there may be something in the news about something unusual about herds of deer. I don't know. But what I do know it points to is the economy. Okay. And the economy is in for a shock because what needs to be done to get it to meet the vision of those implementing new policy with regard to those tariffs, okay? That this is going to create more domestic circulation of money, supposedly, right? And this is how most countries do it. They make you pay a tariff to sell your goods there, right? Well, the United States, being such a big consumer, is highly dependent on other countries, even though we have everything we need right here. So this Uranus and Taurus talks about the reshaping of the economy and how that's going to come as quite a shock to quite a few people, okay? And in and of itself, Uranus and Taurus says market, Uranus crash. Well, this already happened with Obama, but it can continue to be unstable. This is what I believe Trump is professing to be trying to fix when he changes the way that we do business with the world. Hopefully, the adjustment to this isn't going to come as much of a shock to us. And in this chart, Uranus is barely aspected by, to an exactness. So he's considered to be unaspected here by some astrologers. Me, I'm not going to do that because I think about inevitably the planets are going to move and catch up to this position that I'm reading, and what I'm discussing or what it actually gives indication to at that time is going to manifest then. You see? So even though it's sitting here by itself, it represents the constant theme in the background of the money being jittery on the graph. All right? Whether the Taurus also talks to the stock market. So this is where you're going to see it most obviously in stock market, in the agricultural circles or hierarchy, and any place that electronic economics is a thing. So whether it's Bitcoin, guap, I don't care. You understand? No matter what if it's attached to electronics or technology in some type of way. This also speaks, pardon me, it also speaks to the United States government production of that Bitcoin, because now they done passed the law that allows themselves to create money out of thin again. See? And Uranus itself is an air planet, okay? And it represents the sky and thin air, literally, okay? And Taurus points to money. So Uranus in Taurus talks about money out of thin air, all right? And there are several schemes, man, that are legal, that poor people can do to get money, that for real, there's no excuse for poverty, So I have very little sympathy when somebody says, I don't know how to get money, man. You are in a culture that worships money. You see all these money temples around here, these banks, huh? A lifestyle, people want it bad too. There's no immorality attached to having things like it used to be way back in the day of the Carthers and things of this nature. It's no longer like that. So money is a necessity. You need it to eat. And with any metropolis, you're going to have a market for food. Okay, because there's 3 necessities the human being will never abandon. That's food, clothing, and shelter. Okay, certainly we've had people who've abandoned shelter and clothing, but you know what I mean. For the collective part, collectively, people are going to want to eat, they're going to want to dress, and they're going to want to come in from the cold. Okay, so these 3 industries are going to boom, no matter what difficulties hit them. But we are going to see the beef markets. We are going to see some type of produce being called back or rejected later on this year. I would like to say the last 4 months of the year, okay, after September, or maybe starting in September, or as a result of some shit that goes down in September. All right. What also has happened, and I'm going to be using the Venus in Aquarius, Neptune in Pisces position to elaborate on what we've seen with that regard. A helicopter sank some boats in the Red Sea. Okay. When I heard that, I was looking at this chart. I was like, wow, that's right here. Okay. If you're looking at the chart for January 1st, 12 o'clock midnight, 2025 in Washington, D.C., so you can read along with me. If you're looking at that chart, Venus is at 27 degrees Aquarius and Neptune is at 27 degrees Pisces. Now, this is a karmic link between these 2 planets. And why do I use the word karmic? Because Venus is in the 12th house of Neptune here. And the 12th house represents circumstances that could undo the focus. All right? And let me give you an example of that. Aquarius is a sign of freedom, and the 12th sign there is Capricorn, which is a sign of restriction. And restriction undoes freedom. You get that? Okay. You have to visualize, imagine, Pisces, anything you do, you must visualize it. Right? And before you can actually act, Aries it out, there must be some visualization of what you're going to do. I mean, this is how thought works, right? And we all think the same. When people say I think different, I ask them, so what part of your mind do you memorize with? Do you memorize with your imagination? Do you intuit with your rational mind? Do you communicate illness from one part of the body with your creativity? No, I don't think so. You know, we all breathe with our lungs. We all think with our minds. We all remember with our memories, and we imagine with our imaginations. See, this is what I mean when I say people are no different one person from another. Okay? We all have 5 fingers and toes, 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, unless we are an anomaly, a violation of the law that went into our composition. Okay? So if you understand this, then there are certain lines upon which these planets are going to speak to the collective. All right. And Neptune in Pisces deals with marine issues when we're translating it into English. All right. It deals with the imagination. It deals with religiousness. You know, I was telling a person the other day, your beliefs, no matter what they are, whether it's I believe my son is fine, whether it's I believe in God, whether it's I believe in Jesus or I don't, right? The belief itself is a product of your imagination. See, people don't like to hear that reality, but you have to understand how your mind works. If you're going to use your mind as the lens for your spirit to interact with this world, with this physical world, right? So the better you know your own mind and better you know your own self, the more sufficient and functional you're going to be in the pursuit of improving one's own or other situation. So you want to think in these terms. Pisces is the imaginative mindset. Okay? We all have all 12 signs in our birth chart. And where Pisces is, depending on what cusp it's on, what house it's in, is going to determine where that imagination is best developed, where it is best worked on, where the lessons regarding it, coming from it, and involving it are going to happen most potently. Okay? But understand the chart moves too. So at any given time, depending on how long you've been alive, will determine where it's hitting you at now. Right? But for generally, when you look at your birth chart, where Pisces is shows the school of your imagination. All right? Let's put it like that. And it deals with religiousness. Okay? See, and Venus deals with the materialization of things, bringing things from the thought into the physical, right? I have a plan for a chair. So I'm going to artifice, I'm going to fashion a chair and a desk and a table, and I want it to look like this. The ability to take that thought and to make it material is given indication by the place of Venus. So this here is karmically, so it's going to work very well for some karmically, and it's going to work very ill for others karmically, right? And because this is Aquarius, Venus is good for Aquarius. Venus is excellent in Aquarius. It's a natural ruler of Libra, and therefore it does very well in another air sign, all right? So it talks about AI advancing, all right? And the visuals. This is going to be made more accessible to us. People are going to be, their knowledge of it is going to expand. It's going to find much broader application. However, it also has its negatives, okay? This AI is able to take our brainwave impulses and give it an image. I was reminded about this just before I did this show, watching the brother Ali Muhammad on, and it reminded me of a lecture I prepared, and it is pertinent to today. You guys don't see the job market, the inflation rising, how AI is already having its impact on the job market. You're going to need to get some skills out here for self-improvement. Venus in Aquarius talks about earnings through your computers, earnings through technology. Okay? Don't be caught with those people who didn't stay up with the times. Because it's easier to feed yourself when you understand what's going on, man. It's easier to cope and survive. Venus in Aquarius with Neptune in Pisces talks about people's ability to earn. Venus from the second place of this Venus is Neptune in Pisces. The visuals. So learning how to do graphics and things like that, this market is going to be wide open for people, all right? Especially during this year coming, all right? YouTube and Google, which is technology, Aquarius, gave 15 mil to the Los Angeles fire victims. Now, I think I need to show you this so you can see exactly how it's pertinent, right? Because Venus is in the 12th place and Pisces is here in the first place, okay? The 12th place represents victims, represents poverty. It represents charity too, okay? Because the opportunity to truly engage in charity only exists because people are poor, all right? Or because you're confronted with someone who is destitute or in need of you. So this place points to charity. And the Aquarius of it points to the internet moguls here, all right? And Venus points to the money. Okay? So we see the charity given in the form of money from the internet people. Well, they gave this to the people who are now without a place to live. Saturn and Neptune talks about being destitute, desolate, desperate, in a state of sorrow, imprisoned, trapped, right? And Saturn talks about moving under burden or with severe loss, and with extreme obstacles. So, and both of these planets, by the way, are 12th house affiliated. You see? So when I saw that configuration and read how YouTube and Google gave this money, I was like, this whole week, this whole month has been illustrated simply from one chart. You see? I want to say also that the Venus in Aquarius is the inflection of Uranus in Taurus, because Venus is the ruler of Taurus and Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And what happened in this case, in hindsight, with Venus in Aquarius and Neptune in Pisces, and the moon being at 26 degrees, getting ready to aspect both of them off, was they caught these people with pipe bombs. The government, Venus, intervened and caught people, Aquarius, with pipe bombs, Aquarius. Okay, and the Venus Aquarius is the being in possession of the explosive. It is also the government, Venus, seizing on the rebel or the person, the disruptor, Aquarius, right? The disruptor. And the Neptune in Pisces is that these people were trying to sneak this in. They got caught, and it was a fluke. However they caught them. Pisces and Neptune both point to fluke occurrences. Okay, things that happen that materialize out of nothing, or that vanish, or that happen magically. You know, this is awesome. This is Pisces, Neptune descriptive, but on a more material level, Pisces and Neptune point to covert, and the mutual exchange between Venus and Uranus doubles the package. So two different people were caught in two different places within days of each other with these same pipe bombs. All right. This is how the sky gave indication to just what has happened since the first. Okay. And it would be quite some time for me to read the entire year in this format. What I'm going to do is read the entire year for each sign. Okay. And that should speed things along. All right. So this year, Aries, Saturn sits in your 12th house, forcing you to evaluate your efficiency behind the scenes and manifesting your dreams. And if this is if it gives ill indication, it gives indication of the fact that you need to organize and restructure and perhaps put your stuff in order so that you can visualize it properly and execute. Because when Saturn moves into Aries in May, you're going to see a shift, if not in May, coming very soon thereafter, that all of the things you've been putting off, all of the things that you haven't organized are going to come back and confront you to be organized again. But you won't have the same timing. You won't be in the same place. Saturn will be in Aries, and urgency to act, pressure to act will be upon you. Okay? So you're going to see after the middle of spring how the trend goes from you've been working on this, or you should have been working on this, to now it is time to act. Okay? And for the Tauruses, Saturn is currently in your 11th place, which means it's in the place of your aunts and uncles, your friends, your associates, your honorable acquaintances, people that you need to operate functionally in your network. Okay? They don't have to be your friend. They don't have to be your ally. You need this person to exist so that your lifestyle can continue to run smoothly. For example, let's say the corner store owner. He owns a store at the corner. You go in there, you buy from him, you're friendly, but he ain't your real friend. He don't come knocking on your door for shit. Okay? You don't go to his house, right? But you associate with this person. His existence in this neighborhood is essential, or you gotta walk 8 or 9 blocks to go to the store every day. So he's a part of your network. And this is what I mean, okay, when I say your network. So you Tauruses, rising and suns, are gonna see a shift of reliability upon your networks or your friends. You're not gonna be able to rely on them folks. And it's gonna feel like abandonment, or it may feel like, yeah, I really don't have any true friends. It isn't. Don't measure your friends by your ability to provide for yourself. Don't measure your friendships by your inability to provide for yourself. Okay? Because when you are in a space in life that you can't rely on your clique, it is the Most High telling you to be more self-sufficient, showing you that you need to be more self-sufficient. If you were more self-sufficient, you wouldn't be in a fucked up place because you wouldn't need them to support you here in this area. So this is the lesson with Saturn in the 11th place. Well, it's moving into the 12th. So it's moving from a place of ill reliance to a place of ill trust. So you're going to see those people you couldn't rely upon, that you're not able to trust upon faith circumstances, Saturn in the 12th house. You're going to need to do something tangible, not sit back and woe is me about it. Okay? All right. Gemini. Saturn is sitting in y'all's 10th house, fucking with your career, your lifestyle. A lot of Geminis is hitting my phone talking about what should I be doing for a living, you know, because they've reached a point of dissatisfaction or an obstacle. Saturn is an obstacle. Saturn is discontentment. And because it's in Gemini's 10th place, moving into their 11th place, they're going to see how their interaction with the public, their interaction with superiors, their interaction with employers, their aspirations and goals are going to need a network or a platform within which to express itself. Okay. And if the platform is not already built, then you're going to need to build one. Okay. Saturn is building. It's been telling you this for the last 18 months or so anyway. And Saturn is going to be in Pisces until May the 24th. Okay. So you've been dealing with this for the last 2 years or so. Okay. A lot of them are resolved now, and they're through how to fix this disruption of their plans, this disruption of their career. A lot of them had no clue it was coming, and their karma dictates that they're suffering because of it. So they have to rebuild. You're going to have to rebuild your network. You're going to have to rebuild the way you go at the world. Okay? Or you're going to need to bolster that. You don't necessarily, because there are people out there that aren't meant to receive this in severe fashion, but they're still meant to receive it, right? So it would not be them rebuilding a business. It would be them revamping their business or finding new and more practical ways to go about getting that profit, you see? And when it moves into the 11th place, a lot of your goals are going to meet with opposition. They're going to meet with tension, with difficulty. This isn't saying you can't have those things. So, you know, a lot of astrologers want to say, oh, Saturn is an obligation. You're going to fail. No, Saturn is only a guaranteed failure if you do fucking nothing. Okay? You're guaranteed to fail if you don't get your ass up off the train track, right? A train is going to hit you. So this is what Saturn is. Saturn is the train. It's coming. Okay? So, and the fact that it's constantly coming. These are the constant responsibilities that everyone deals with. Saturn in your birth chart, matter who you are, points to your responsibilities and those things that challenge the stability of your life, as well as those things you need to do to establish and maintain the stability and to accomplish the goals in your life. Okay? So you can't take a woe is me attitude approach. You can't take I'm going to meditate my way out of this approach either with Saturn. Saturn requires action. Okay? It requires that you actually do something to reach resolution, or it just sits right there. It's like me dropping a 2-ton boulder on your front doorstep and walking away and disappearing. Okay? That rock ain't going to move itself. See? And this is what Saturn moving from the 10th house to the 11th house says. That rock ain't going to move itself. You're going to need some help as much as the last 2 years or 18 months or so have pressed you into a position where you feel like you don't want to fuck with nobody. You want to do this shit on your own. Well, when Saturn moves into your 11th house, you're going to see just how much you need a network with which to execute it. No man is an island unto himself. Okay. For you Cancers, Cancer risings, Saturn is in your 9th. A lot of us have lost cars, lost the ability to be as mobile. There are some of the younger ones have decided to discontinue or interrupt their educations. Okay, you got a lot of people out here in the movement that speak against education, using the white man's education. Okay, personally, I don't send my kids to school. I homeschool. Okay, but if you in your heart had a dream that needed that white man's education, you need to take your motherfucking ass back to school. Okay? Saturn in the 9th house brings limitations, endeavor to the desire to widen, to travel, to widen your experience, either educationally or through mobility. Okay? Any limitations coming through there are not designed to make you quit. They are designed to make you reform your course of action. Okay? No one is saying you can't be a rapper, but you better find a more practical way to sell your motherfucking music, because selling it out the back of your trunk, they don't do that no more. We got the fucking internet now. We got online stores now that you can advertise right there on the page. All this footwork you're doing, nobody wants to do that. And they're not just giving out record deals like that anymore. They want to see that you have some industriousness about your ass. Nobody wants to give you a deal unless they've seen you've already moved 10,000 joints. So you have to think new now. This is what Saturn is showing you in any situation, and this is for anybody, this statement. Saturn is there to show us where we can improve our performance. So when it's like, oh man, money's been slow and life has been kicking my ass, you ain't been fighting life on life's terms. And Cancer is emotional. It deals with things that you have an emotional bond to. Let's us hypothetically say that you, the listener, have a perfectly evolved emotional expression. Your emotions don't get the best of you. You're just a perfectly composed emotional individual. Well, I don't believe that about anybody. Okay. People are good at making you see things, right? But I truly believe that you care about your family. You care about your domestic situation. You care about your loved ones. See, this is Cancer. So even if you are a master of your motherfucking emotions, you dig? You are still confronted with situations that evoke emotion. Okay? Saturn is a natural enemy to Cancer because Saturn rules Capricorn, which is the total opposite of Cancer. And to put it in an analogy, Cancer is like a moonlit night under a bright full moon. And Saturn in Capricorn is a dark, cold environment. Okay? As opposed to that soothing, romantic environment that I just explained. Imagine yourself caught between a rock and a hard place and no way up. That is the analogy or the worst analogy of Saturn I can imagine. Okay? Really, I can imagine some more, but that'll do. Okay? So Saturn in your 9th house kind of dampens it causes you to relook at your life philosophy. Okay? Some things are going down with your in-laws too. If you're in a relationship, then you can see your in-laws going through issues, medical issues, okay, or medically related issues right now. Okay. Saturn is gonna move into Aries, fucking with your ability to interact with your public as you desire is giving me too. This one pertains to me too. Is giving us the opportunity to look at our self-expression and revamp that. Okay, because Aries is self-expression. No matter where you find it in the chart, thus, no matter what your rising sign is, Aries falls somewhere in your chart. And for Cancer, it's their domestic situation, their career, okay, their life, their lifestyle. This is where Saturn is going. So where it has been in the place of schooling, if you decided to discontinue your schooling, you're going to see how that affects your aspirations. You're going to see how that affects your goals, okay? And I advise y'all to get the fuck back in school. You know, if school was a part of your plan, it's like this here. You know, you hear these people say a college education is useless. Well, what happens if you want to be a professional football player? They no longer take niggas that drop out of college, okay? They no longer fuck with people that don't have college degrees. You see what I'm saying? So the degree ain't got shit to do with the job and everything to do with the job at the same time. You see, you don't stifle your dreams is what Saturn and Pisces says to everybody. Find a more practical way of executing. It ain't the Most High saying you can't have this. It's the Most High saying you need to be realistic about how you going to acquire it. Okay? You know, I had to tell this to my own family. All right? My wife is a talented musician. She plays instruments for real and can do anything on the keyboard that you ask her to. Okay? And she's like, you know, I realize, you know, when it comes to music, I want to take this turn now. I no longer want to pursue it with this gusto. And I was like, you don't see how that's Saturn on your shit right now? On your Venus and on your Mars, you don't see how that is? And she was like, yeah, I mean, now that I look at it, yeah. But what she didn't give up on the fact that she wants to write music. She just said, you know, I'm a mother and I got 4 kids and I can't pursue it like I was. So she has a different approach now because I damn sure wasn't going to let her stop exercising her talent. You know, I'm going to be a good influence with that regard. These things are what give us peace of mind, whether you realize it or not. Your natural ability and you being able to engage in activity that you find solace and peace of mind in is where our peace of mind is. You know, these things are good. All right. Leo. Well, I can imagine 2.5 years ago, Leo and Aquarius, okay, but Leo mainly here, that you revamp the way you go about making commitments, romantic, business, affiliation, or otherwise related, okay? And I can imagine it because Saturn in Aquarius back during the COVID epidemic, Saturn showed you where you needed to rebuild and where you needed to revamp yourself in that respect, okay? Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, to me, brings forth the idea of abandonment. So a lot of y'all went through abandonment activities or abandonment issues during the y'all here are the Leos, rising in suns, okay? So Saturn moving through your 8th place now for the last year or so has made it so that your affiliations, you can't depend on your partner's property or their response or their involvement like you were able to before. It isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a shift in accessibility or a shift in reliability. Okay. And when I say it doesn't have to be a bad thing, it's like I work at home. So my wife has access to me whenever the fuck she wants. Okay. Yeah. So she's able to rely on me in that respect. Right. Now, if I get a job and I have to leave the house every day, I am no longer here for her to rely on as though I'm sitting in this desk all day. I am now, she has to wait till I come home to get me to climb on the roof and remove the camera. You understand? Whereas now, as it is, she can walk right in here and say, yo, I need you to help me fix this thing on the, you know, to get this thing off the roof. You see? So when I say it doesn't have to be a bad thing, that's what I mean. I'm not leaving my wife. I'm just going to work every day, right? So understand that, and it could mean a bad thing too. I mean, Saturn is an indicator of separation and the desire to separate. Okay, a lot of people get divorces when Saturn runs through their seventh house, and in the very least, your relationship status goes through some turbulence. Whatever the status, you're lonely, you don't have a partner. Saturn is there showing you why you need to get your shit in order so you can have that relationship, right? So, but now that it's in the 8th place, the 8th place as opposed to the 7th place doesn't point to the partnership itself. It points to what you share in that partnership. What the result of this impulse, the Aquarius impulse, gets you. Okay. And what is it? What does it get you? While Saturn was in Aquarius, there was some form of detachment, some lack of involvement. And when Saturn moved into Pisces, your ability to draw back on what you had detached yourself from was not there. You see, this is an example of how it manifests in human life. All right. So now, let's say that for 2.5 years, you got a job where you were commuting. So now you're only home 3 days out of the week. Change the dynamic of your relationship, 7th house. See? It didn't have to change the way you think or change your level of devotion to your wife or your wife's level of devotion to you, but it still changed the dynamic because now you're traveling every week. You're a trucker. You're going out of town every week. So you're really only home 3 days a week. That is going to change the dynamic of the relationship. So this is what Saturn gives indication to. He makes you more responsible with these changes. All right. And Saturn points to obligations and things that you need to make a priority. And because Saturn represents delays, the typical undeveloped human behavior is to avoid that Saturn shit. Well, your Saturn in the 8th place means that there's some degree of dependence being placed on you, or there's some degree of dependence that you need from your partner in the relationship. And these things are going to work themselves out. When Saturn gets into the 9th place, it's going to be too late to up and leave. Right? It's not going to be as easy to get up and boogie. All right? That won't happen for y'all till like April of 2029, the mobility part. All right, let me go to the next sign. Virgo. Virgo sun, Virgo rising. Understand Saturn is the ruler of your 5th place. Well, what the fuck does that mean? Okay, the 5th place is love and children. Okay? I mean, and the 7th place, pardon me, it's the ruler of your 5th place. So Saturn now being in your 7th house, Virgo and Virgo rising, you sinus allergy catching motherfuckers who love neutral color cars. Okay? Who would rather be in a neutral color car. And you get sinuses. I'm talking to you specifically. Okay. Y'all have to realize Saturn forced y'all has been forcing y'all in the last 2 years or so to reevaluate your romantic relationships, your business relationships, and your equitable or mutual dealings. Trust is a big issue there. Being trustworthy and whether the partner is trustworthy, and somewhere along those lines, trust comes into play. Okay, even if it's belief in your partner, like I no longer believe this is going to work. The Saturn brings you to points where you're examining reasons to or reasons not to continue your faith in the relationship. Okay, well, this should have been the theme for Virgo in the last over the last 18 to 24 months. Y'all should have been re-examining your ability to trust and your ability to materialize your fantasies, okay? Dreams, aspirations are fantasies too, okay? So with Saturn there, it's like more responsibility has come to the relationship in the very least. Like you, Rich, telling me that you just had another child. That makes both you and your wife twice as responsible as it was. Well, the 5th place is children. It is love. So for Virgos, love and trust are the motif for this year. Y'all gonna be thrust into situations that try your trust or force you to have to demonstrate that you trust. And this isn't just your romantic relationship. This is any human interaction where there is a mutual gain or interest or involvement. Okay, this is where it's most likely to materialize. So this is where you need to be looking for it at. Okay, and Sagittarius, you know I got 4 more to go. Yeah. All right, Sagittarius, you got Saturn in your 4th house right now, making you dissatisfied with your living conditions. And if it doesn't pertain to your domestic situation, it's pointing to your family, your sense of family, or your connection to family. Okay? And it's a very sensitive place for Saturn. Disconnects happen because of misunderstandings here. Pisces is the sign of forgiveness. And Saturn in Pisces, number 1 says unforgivable. But it also talks about forgiveness coming over a long period of time. It doesn't have to absolutely mean the unforgivable. It may have been unforgivable in the beginning. Whatever it is that you're going through regarding your relationships and what have you, you're going to need to examine the opportunity to forgive that person and get the fuck over it. Get past it. It's way more important that the trust is repaired than severed. All right? And you know, I'm always going to be the one to try to keep people together as opposed to advising them to separate. But I don't know how extreme the circumstance is with that. Pisces talks about bad habits, addictions. Okay? And it also talks about medication, but it talks about addictions in a negative sense. So a lot of people with Saturn and Pisces are wrestling with their addictions. And the Virgos are going to see it with their friends. The Libras are going to see it with their aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews. Because Pisces is in the 6th place for them. So, and it's in the place of co-workers and service, all right? Libra, now, let me address Libra. Libras, you are experiencing Saturn in your 6th place. This is the diet. This is the regimen, the routine, the job. It is co-workers, aunts, uncles, nieces, and nephews. Literally, all of those things this place points to that. So any one of those people in your life could be experiencing difficulty right now, and that would serve as an outside element to confirm where you're at with that regard, to show you where you're at in your own place. But looking within your own circle, it talks about your habits that should be either broken or bolstered, your work habit, because it pertains to work. If Saturn is in your 6th place, making a good aspect to one of your money planets, then work right now is good for you. It's stable, it's secure. If Saturn is making a bad aspect to one of your money planets, then you can see your financial situation being unstable and constant. This is something you're going to have to work through. You're at a point in life right now where you have to decide what you're really going to actually do. Are you going to pursue your education? Are you going to devote yourself to this? Because it's about establishing a routine here. And nothing runs Libra away like a strong routine. Okay. They want to be able to act spontaneously, really. They don't want to be restricted to any obligation. But this is life, and this is what they have to deal with. Okay. So it moving from your 6th into your 7th place means that earlier in the spring than later, but by the end of the spring, you should start to see the dynamic shift in your social situation. Okay, Libra, you're going to have to deal with personal issues and personal expression, or dealing with your partner's pushy, over aggressive, or mean, or curt expression. Things like this, it's time for them things to be ironed out. Come May, for the next damn near 3 years, you'll have the opportunity to work on your own personal projection, your own sense of sacrifice, and your own sense of selfishness. Okay? Like, these things are necessary. I don't want to get all Ayn Rand on y'all, right? But selfishness is a very necessary element to survival. You know, if I am responsible for 50 people, let's say I'm a
a captain, a lieutenant in the military. All right.
Yeah.
All of these people are under my command. I am responsible for every one of their lives and deaths. Okay. Now, suppose a motherfucking sniper starts shooting it. I'm not waiting for all you niggas to duck. Okay. Even though I'm responsible for every one of you, I have a responsible to myself. I'm going to duck immediately, and I hope you're going to do the same. You see what I'm saying? So the selfishness is not always point to something negative. This is a lesson that Libras have to learn because they try to be so considerate, right? But when it comes to relationships, it's all about you and your feelings. You have to learn how to be a little less selfish, a little more selfless, a little more compromising. Yeah, you do it all the time where you want to do it at. Okay? True compromise is made when you don't want to. Okay? This is when you're compromising. As long as you're the one encouraging a compromise, that's not a compromise. That's the means by which to get what you need. Okay? That's the means to get something you need done or in your possession. Right? So you're going to be looking at lessons regarding your social interactions on a very close, intimate, personal level. All right? And when it moves into Aries, okay? Let me move now to the Scorpios. It's going to be, it's in now in your house of children. So it brings attention to the children. Maybe the children need discipline. Maybe you need to be more disciplined as a parent dealing with your children. All right? Saturn in the 5th house says, all work, no play. Or very little time for play. Or there's time for play, but only after the work is complete. So the emphasis here is on the work aspect as opposed to the reward aspect. Saturn is the planet of long-term goals. So being in the 5th place of investment, of speculative venture, and Scorpio, love is a speculative venture. Children is a speculative venture, okay? And business venture as well pertains here, right? Saturn there means that you need to be wise and careful and frugal with your investments, with the substance you use to invest. If you have children, there needs to be a greater focus being put on their sensitivities, on their emotional and psychological development. I wouldn't care if your kids are 14 and 15 years old. Okay, we are constantly developing. We are constantly evolving, no matter how old you get. Okay, Sagittarius. This is Saturn sits in your 4th house now, bringing attention to your domestic situation, and maybe somebody on your mom's side of the family is going through it. Okay, Pisces deals with health issues. It also deals with religion. Okay, spirituality, trust factors, your ability to trust people. Okay, as much as going to church. All right. So the Saturn in Pisces in the 4th place means that your base of operation, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and physically, and familially, and socially or financially, your base of operation is being audited. Okay, let's say Saturn is rolling through there, auditing your base operation, your fundamental beliefs about how you should go about living. Okay, these things need to be examined. All right, Saturn causes us to look at where it is, look at the sign that it's in, and in your life you need to reassess, to build on, to revamp, or to assess and reconstruct. This is what Saturn gives us indication as to what we should be doing. I mean, if we look at Saturn 7 years ago, we see all that we had opportunity to do and didn't do. And then we look at our current situation and say, oh man, had I taken that opportunity, I wouldn't be here today. So if you understand that this is how Saturn operates, that what you are neglecting right now, 7 years from now, is going to come back and bite you. Saturn is pushing that theme in your face right now. So that has to do with children. It also has to do with your sense of joy. So let's say children are not the factor at all, because everybody ain't having kids, right? Then it is your inner child here. And there are lessons about growing up here, about looking at life more serious and looking at life more practically and more adult when it comes to your enjoyments, when it comes to your habits, okay, and your indulgences. All right. And because it's on the 4th place for Sag, it's now hitting home, right? It is now hitting the domestic situation. When it moves into your 5th house in the Aries, it's going to slow down a lot of the things you find joy in. A lot of the time that you've been spending on fun, you're going to need that to put it towards your goals, towards work. Okay. And whenever Saturn enters the 5th house, like I said for the Scorpio prior, that it is not going to be as fun as it was. It is a need to pay more attention to your responsibility than those things that are pleasurable for you. And you'll see how that works out for you. All right. Capricorn. Pisces is your 3rd house, and it has to do with communication, day-to-day contacts. People who you used to associate with on a day-to-day basis are now kind of scarce, or you're getting scarce on them. This is what Saturn tends to do, okay? And because it is the house of communication and Saturn is about restraint, and when it comes to having discourses and communications under the motif of trust, you believe, you trust this person, you trust them with this information, you trust them that they can give you a solution, or you trust that you could confide in them. This is the type of test, this is the type of thing that's going to be tested. Your ability to speak in private and it remain behind closed doors is going to be challenged. That's just one little ripple. Pisces itself talks about your dream. You know, people be like, well, I don't dream anymore. I'm talking about your aspirations, dreams, like what you want to be when you grow up, what you see yourself as that you are not right now. That is a dream. Okay. And as a Capricorn, this is in your house of mental processing. So your abilities to format, your ability to plan and to think things through is very crucial to your development and success now. Your ability to actually carry that all the way out as well. And you know, Capricorns are the planners. They are the planners because they have the sign of vision, Pisces, in the 3rd place. Well, right now, you need to bring it to tangible means, or you need to find a way to bring them to tangible means. Now is not the time for talk. Now is the time to build. Okay. So you've been talking long enough. In other words, you've been expressing what you want to be. Now's the time to actively put things in place to build your way to that point. All right. It is moving into your 4th place. So in May, June, you're going to see a shift come with your level of satisfaction with your domestic situation. If you live alone, maybe it is in the fact that you live in this place and you rather live in another place. If you're living with other people, the desire for solitude is going to become very strong. Okay. And your spirit doesn't urge you to do such things, and it really doesn't need to be done. So it's like to go inside to look at your heart, your foundation, and how you feel dealing with and living around people. Okay. Dealing with and living around people on a daily basis is going to take on a new shade for you. And it's supposed to evolve you socially and to make you more self-sufficient. Aquarius, Saturn has been in your 2nd house for the last, I would say, 18 months or so, 18 or 20 months, okay? Showing you how to, or that you should reshape your values. Not only your values, but your sense of acquisition when it comes to valuables. Not only your morals, but your sense of right and wrong when it comes to acquisition. Like, what will you do for money and what won't you do? What do you think is right to do and what is not right to do? What is worth your energy and what is not? Okay. So your evaluational mindset when it comes to tangibles and acquisitions is going through a change. Either you are being shown the need to take it more seriously, to act more progressively, to be more planning and timing efficient in the execution of your pursuit, or it is showing you your sheer laziness, your lack of activity, and your sleep schedule getting in the way of your money. Okay. When it moves into the 3rd place, it's going to constrict communications. You're not going to be able to rely on people that you're normally able to just call. You see, these people you're going to find reason to either fall back or to put them on the wayside, or you're outgrowing them, because this is mental progress. Saturn in the 3rd place, that shift is going to occur for you in May. And you, Aquarius risings, Aquarius sun. And for Pisces, For Pisces, Saturn has been in your face. Okay? For most of us, our sleep sketches are topsy-turvy, but for you especially, for people, whether they're Pisces or not, addicted to drugs, cigarettes, cocaine, dope, fucking over-the-counter medicine. I don't care. Addiction is addiction here, right? In this scenario, right? Saturn, through Pisces, is forcing y'all to reassess your addictions, the worthiness of them, the worthiness of the time and endeavor that you put in the acquisition and the indulgence of them, as well as misgivings, understandings that you have about your own character are going to come to the fore. Issues of trust, trusting other people and being trustworthy. This has been the thing for like the last 2.5 years. The last 2 years. Over the next a few months up until May, this is going to prevail. But when it moves into Aries, it will be time for you to act for your acquisitions. Time for you to personally put your own energy to be more self-sufficient. It would be good to be able to cut everybody off and just do you. But there's a responsibility to self and others. So you can't forget the responsibility to yourself with this regard. When Saturn moves into your second place, you'll see how that works for you morally and in your ability to acquire or move around in the world and provide for yourself. Okay, that's the forecast for everybody.
I want to share one comment that pretty much sums up what just happened. All of this off the dome is crazy.
Well, it ain't off the dome, y'all. I ain't fronting. I did this shit here today. Here go the notes. Here goes the chart, and here goes each one of the signs, and the shift is gonna. Here goes.
It's still crazy, Ra. It's just, man.
I mean, some of it is off the dome, yeah. But you understand this. I've been doing this shit for 50 years. That's the crazy part. See, I've been interested in astrology. My grandmother gave me an astrology book when I was 9 years old. I'm 59 now.
Half a century you've been doing this, man. Wow.
Yeah. And it gets better. I learn every year. I learn that there's a whole lot of shit I never knew, and every year I learn a lot more shit, and it gets better and better every year.
Man, wow. I hope you know what? Somebody who's good with timestamps. This was packed with so much information. If anybody's good with timestamps, put some timestamps in the comment section after this video, and I'll pin that comment at the top.
Gypsy King, let me tell you why that is, man. See, you see the rapport between me and Rich. Okay, Rich is the little white bunny in Alice in Wonderland. Okay, he late as a motherfucker. All right, that means that I only get an hour here. If I get more than an hour, he's feeling generous. So it is fast. It is fast because I want to get it all out. I want it to make sense when you go away or when you re-listen to it, you know? And I can't make this shit up, you know? Right. I can't make this up. This is the natural course of the Zodiac.
Hey, and whoever, because a lot of people came in after we made that announcement in the beginning. Listen, family, it is going down. Akhu has officially been added to the lineup. Non-ether Godfest. Listen, the lineup gets bigger every day. It's going down February 8th in Stonecrest, Georgia. Akhu will be there doing live readings. He will be doing. I told y'all, if y'all, I know y'all came in late. I did a program in 2019. Akhu had a line damn near out the door of people waiting to see him. Ain't nothing like getting a reading done in person. Let me tell you that. It's a different vibe. So make sure y'all come there. Akhu. First of all, Brother Yosef got added to the program 2 days ago. Now Akhu got added, and I got more. There's more to come. It's gonna get better and better and better. Listen, y'all, this is it. This Super Bowl weekend. This is the conscious Super Bowl right here, y'all. It's going down February 8th in Stonecrest, Georgia, New Black Wall Street. And this is a nighttime affair. So you got that moon energy vibe to it. It's going to be fire, y'all. Listen, the link is at the top of the chat. Make sure y'all get your tickets. I guarantee you. Yeah, I just started the Discord today. Goddess says she can't get it to the Discord. Yeah, I sent out the links today. The Discord just started popping off today. But yeah, Raku's gonna be there, y'all, February 8th. Make sure you there. Get a live reading. And if you can't see him, book a reading. But the brother's absolutely fire. Brother Rich gotta go. I want to thank Brother Raku once again, man. That was awesome. I gotta go downstairs and do some work, and I'm gonna play this back. I gotta listen to this one again. So that's how good this. I can listen to this one back to back.
Oh, but just be mindful. I ain't get everything off.
Oh, I know.
I never do.
I know. But listen, I look forward to seeing you February 8th. I know you don't come out much, and just the lineup is gonna be incredible, y'all. But
I'm gonna be there, God. See, I know I'm coming out to events.
Indeed. Make sure you come out, Rod. Give the people your contact information so they can highlight you.
Okay. You can follow me on Instagram. I do believe they're gonna close TikTok. I didn't even get into that. TikTok has had a Saturn on the 15th, so I don't think they're gonna be there. But they're going away. Anyway, you can follow me at COZMO361 on Instagram. I got a lot of impersonators on there, so make sure you spell it just like you see it right here. Okay, because I have more than 15 impersonators. They get at people. So, and trust this, I'm not going to get at you. I'm not coming at you in your DM. If you don't call me and you hear from me, and it's not my phone number that you see right here, 516-881-6992, it ain't me. I only have one phone. I only use one name tag right there, okay? And it's spelled just like that. No dots, no dashes, none of that in my name, okay? And if you follow me, you'll see me doing lives more. I do this information thing every week, okay? If you call me between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I can't emphasize that enough. Your feelings get hurt. You call me at 11 o'clock. If I see the missed call, I'll call you back. But I'm not going to answer before 1, okay? I be homeschooling and dealing with my kids. I don't have time to be dealing with my customers 24/7. Call me between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. and we can keep things cordial. All right. I do samples, 5-minute samples when you call me. And if you're pleased with the 5-minute sample, I aim to get you to book a reading. Okay. I mean, outside of that, I don't know what to say and announce. I've developed a Patreon page. I don't suggest that you go join it immediately unless you're feeling charitable. Okay. But I'm building it up now. Within a month or so, it should be up and ready. Okay. I'll be able to do things on Patreon that we can't do on YouTube and on Instagram because it's a closed network. You got to join to get in there and hear it. And I'll be able to address things that people may report me for. People may find offensive, but I will be able to go in deeper and much harder on my Patreon. So outside of that, I don't know what to say.
Hey, Rod, you ever use Discord? You got Discord on your phone?
I had Discord for a long time, and then it just wasn't my flavor. I didn't like the way it was working. But if there's a use for it, I can readapt it.
Rod, the people that's coming to the Godfest, the conference on February 8th, I got them in a Discord. They're in a community chat. So I want to send you the link. All the speakers and vendors. They're a part of that group. I just started it yesterday. So I want you to join the Discord so the people could chop it up with you and maybe plan things in advance with you. Maybe a reading or even because Rod, even if I know you're doing readings there, but you may want to do readings the day before, or the day after or something like that. I don't know.
But believe me, God, I am doing at least 5 readings a week.
Fire.
So I try to book it like that. I try to keep everybody in, but people can pick their days. If they're open, they can pick them, but I try to stack them in there so that I get at least 5 readings a week. So I am constantly reading. I'm also teaching, y'all. I would really, truly, honestly, I want to move to strictly teaching this shit and getting away from the reading. I want to retire from reading. Okay. And I want worthy students. Like, my doors aren't open to everyone. Pardon me. I'm a discriminator. You can't do math if you can't divide. I don't want to deal with you, okay? You need at least an 8th grade mathematical acumen. You need to at least be able to divide.
Right.
And I hear our people are the worst at math nowadays. And I'm trying to change that. But you need to be able to divide without my help. Check your own math to the level of division. If you can do that, then you qualify. You have the necessary aptitude to study astrology. And within 5 months, I can have you predicting yours or anyone else's life. So I would rather teach this than read people all the time. So I'm looking for students. I charge, my class is $2,500. And if my wife come in here and tell me she's pregnant, it's going up to $3,000. Okay. So I mean, somebody called me a couple months ago and she said to me, is it just about the money, Rock? Like, I'm not in a place right now and I can't. And I was like, well, when you get to that place, give me a call. And she said, well, is it just about the money? I said, I have 4 kids in here that eat more than once a day. I need help with that. And that's all I'm concerned about.
You don't let them trick. Don't let them trick you.
Feeding my children, man. That's why I'm doing it. Somebody said, "Oh, you're so kind-hearted, man." I'm not doing this to help the world. Because if I couldn't live off it, I'd be doing something that I could live off of. You understand? So it is about the money, y'all. It's about feeding my kids. That's what I'm doing this shit for. I'm not doing it because I want to be looked at as no Mother Teresa type. And I ain't never going to desire that for myself. So recognize when you call me, I do free 5 minutes. After that, decide if you want to do the reading or not. Decide if you want to get in my class. Okay? And I can read anybody. Like, I know it sounds conceited, but it's not a walking on 2 legs individual that has any knowledge of themselves that I can't show them how their life is unfolding. Anybody. You from this planet. Yeah, if you from this planet, you that. You readable. You God's creation. And you fall under this blueprint.
Hey, man, listen, man. With that being said, I want to thank Akhu. I want to thank everybody that's still in the chat. Make sure y'all get those tickets to see Akhu live in person on February 8th. Let me share this link one last time. The event is not being live streamed at the time, so you have to be there in person to see it. It is definitely worth it. It is extremely cheap, $55 to be a part of the event, an event of the lifetime. Vendors, vegan food, poetry, music. I mean, we got I'm at a loss for words. I ain't even got nothing else to say. I'll promote it more tomorrow, but for tonight I'm done. Cool. Send me that picture tomorrow, my brother, and I will talk to you tomorrow, my brother. Yo, family, okay. I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I'm not sure who's gonna be on the show, but I will see you tomorrow. Everybody have a good night. Peace, Rock.
Peace. Good night.
All right. See you tomorrow, family. Peace.